It's been an interesting year for criticism with NBA stars because on the one hand, you have Kyrie that I think people, for the most part, were really against, and he took a lot of shit. Then you had the Ben Simmons part where he was about to take a ton of shit, but then the mental health thing came into play. And then there was this hands-off thing, and now it feels like he's veering toward probably taking shit again if he tries to get his money back from Philly, right? Then you have the Westbrook piece, who is one of the 3 or 4 most expensive guys in the league, who, came to LA and acted like he was a superstar and the big 3. Like he bought into all that, and he bought into them coming home. We're going to win a title. And he's been one of the worst guys in the league that plays 30 minutes a game. Really, I tried to figure it out today. He's having one of the worst offensive seasons for somebody with his usage rate. I honestly shouldn't be playing. And then he comes out last week and is like, this is bad. They're calling me Westbrook. My family's in danger. And then that turns into a whole thing. I do feel like people should have the right to criticize him and feel upset that their favorite team has this guy who makes $44 million a year, who has stunk and who doesn't seem to, A, take accountability for how he's playing, and then B, try to change how he's playing. And yet even that turns into this. So it's like, so where are we in sports in 2022 where we can't be critical past a certain point of certain athletes?
I think what it is that athletes have figured out that if they humanize themselves, as Russell Westbrook did last week, then people look at you a little differently.
Yeah.
Right? So I think people always looked at Westbrook, even when he was great, when he was an MVP and a triple-double machine. He was a guy that was contrary, that would push back against people whose questions he thought were dumb or questions he didn't like or narratives he didn't agree with. And he had no qualms about doing that. So he was a guy that was viewed, I think, as a strong personality. Not everybody liked him. So this is the first time that Russell Westbrook seems sort of human. He's talking about his kids at school and what they're going through. And I've always thought for pro athletes and anybody really, that once you become humanized, everybody's like, oh, wait, I'm trashing this guy on Twitter. I didn't realize like his kid's upset at school. I think it just humanizes. It makes you stay, oh, okay, wait a minute. Maybe I should back off a little bit, So I think, and I don't think this is why Russell Westbrook said this or did this, but I actually think it's created some sympathy that's probably never, ever been there before for him.
Well, I was thinking about it because the other piece of it is he's in OKC from the moment he gets drafted, right? And then when KD leaves and Russ stays and has the MVP season, and it's kind of, he basically becomes like this star of his own. Yeah, but like almost like the star of a high school. It's like this town and he owns the town and he's the guy. And so it's just love, 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 love. They're defending him.
Right, but he did right by them too, He did right by the community, he did right by the team, and he did right by his teammates. He really did.
Well, and then on top of it, they're defending him because he becomes a little polarized during that MVP season. How good is he? His team's not winning. He has the ball all the time. And it's a little like what happened with the Laker fans and Kobe in the mid-2000s, where it's now becomes us against them. And for the OKC fans, it's Russ is us. So he's just unconditional love, people overlooking his faults, making excuses for him, goes to Houston. They change what their team is, within half a year to just try to get him to succeed. They trade Capella. Then that ends pretty quickly. Then Harden's like, get me out of here. They trade him to Washington. Washington's grateful to even be decent. So he's a good experience there. This Lakers thing was the first time he really had a spotlight on him for his faults. And at the same time was getting worse as a player and was on the wrong team. So I can understand how his head must be like, oh my God, like my whole world's crashing down.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, when you're making $44 million, you're playing for the most famous franchise we have other than maybe the Celtics. Like that's what you signed up for,
Yep. Yeah, but if you're Russell Westbrook, it never occurred to you it wasn't going to work out.
Right.
Because these great players, it's all positive self-talk. They believe they're the greatest and they're going to prove it to you. And if you want to go by strictly numbers, I don't have Westbrook's numbers in front of me.
You're bad.
Right. Yeah, they're bad. But like in terms of points per game, I don't know. What's he averaging? Do you have it there? I don't know if you have it.
He's like
but you know
18,
what I mean?
7 and 7, something
See
like
what
that.
I mean? But see, so if you're him, you're like, that's almost a triple-double. What the hell's your problem? Well, we know what the problem is. We know that those numbers, the shooting percentages, the where those assists lead, those kind of things.
The true shooting is atrocious.
The true shooting
turnovers, and then that
it.
doesn't even really count as defense. Where
and we're
he's
not
the
even,
biggest liability of his entire game.
And we haven't even talked about his career statistics at the end of tight games.
Yep.
When things matter and you got to make a big shot. So that's why numbers don't lie. Yeah, they do. They lie every single day, all the time. You can manipulate numbers for your benefit or for your detriment any way you'd like. That's just the truth of the game.
Well, I'm sure you've covered a bunch of people over the years that used to be great or used to be stars or used to be influential players that had now hit the point
it's awful.
Where they weren't anymore, but they're the last ones to realize it. This is like one of the things that makes the NBA the NBA.
Yeah. But I would say that about almost every superstar. Well, I would say that about Larry Bird. I would say that about Michael Jordan. Because I was around them both at the end, and it was not fun. Let me tell you, it was not fun. Now, both of them had physical limitations, particularly Larry, obviously. But they still believe they're the best, and that's why they always have been the best. So some of the greatest of all time. And, that's what's so interesting to me about LeBron. Because he's in like a category now, all these career statistics that no one else, the 10,000. That's an incredible feat. And I'm watching him and I don't love his body language. Sometimes I don't love a lot of it, but look what he's doing. He's still doing it. Now his team isn't winning, but are we going to point to him? I don't think so. I'm not pointing to him.
He's playing out of position.
Right.
He's playing with probably the worst possible roster for him. Too many minutes. His knees are starting to go. Like Russell and I talked about this on Sunday. Like it does have shades of that Kobe stretch when he just started playing 48-minute games.
Right. It's a bad idea.
And started revving the engine. And it's just, this is not the point of your career to do that. But yeah, LeBron, it still feels like he can get 30 to 35 against any team at any point.
Yeah. And he just,
that part is not gone yet.
And his, like the one thing I've always admired about LeBron is the personal will. Just like if it's a big game for whatever reason in his mind, and that's why Jordan was so great too, because he could do this, whether it's real or imagined, and you put it into overdrive and they get locked into something and you can't, it doesn't matter if LeBron shoots the ball poorly, because he impacts the game in so many other ways. And that's what great players do.
Yeah.